Get started. Heavenly Father, help us to make great decisions for the people of Corona County. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call.
Ball.
Here.
Brady.
Here.
Brumman.
Here.
Johnson.
Here.
Yeah.
Here. Took the motion to approve the minutes for May 7th.
So moved.
Seconded, moved and seconded. Any comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed, motion carries. We'll begin the day of public comment, 3 minutes per person, identify yourself in the township. If as though we don't have any, didn't have any online requests. Moving on, presentation. Need a sort. Executive Director, Northeast Michigan.
Oh, yeah. Well, thank you.
We got a fancy thing.
Oh, we got a fancy thing here? Okay,
But you don't have to use it.
this is it. That's right. Excuse me for my throat. I'm the director of Northeast Community Mental Health, and we've operated group homes in Alcona County for years and years. I think at one point we had 4 here. We have 2 now. And due to staffing shortages, you can't hire people, you can't recruit people. We've always had a problem in Alcona County. In fact, I found out from Carolyn Bruning, who's been with us 40 years, that's why we closed the Dewar home, was because of staffing shortages, and it's worse now than it's ever been. My overtime costs are exorbitant, and it's exhausting the staff, and it's unsustainable. So I just want to notify the commissioner, I am going to close one of our group homes here. We have one in the Harrisville, the main road here, and one at Mill Creek Road. Not exactly sure which one, but one of those 2 we will end up closing before the end of the fiscal year. Just to give you some numbers of how bad our overtime things are. In the last 3 years, 22, 23, and 24, the lowest amount of overtime I've paid in a fiscal year for one of those 2 homes is 48,000, and the most is 81,000. It's just outrageous. This year already, we're 6 months in. One home, I'm 51,000 in overtime alone and 44,000 in the other one. We don't have enough staff, so by closing it, we plan to retain all of our employees. Hopefully we'll have maybe enough staff from both homes in order to fully staff one home. But 24 hours of care, 6 beds of people that need a lot of care, 2 staff on at every shift, it gets difficult. So
Your clients,
intellectual and developmental disabilities.
Are they going to be merged into one?
Yes, we haven't been putting new people into the home, and so we can move everyone from one home to the other except 2. And we have openings in our other 2 our group homes to move those 2 people. So we're talking to guardians, and one guardian's in Alpena. I think they might, appreciate that person getting moved up to Alpena. I don't know, but we're in the process of talking to guardians, and we've already notified staff that we're going to be consolidating the staffing and having one group home here in Alcona County. So I hate to do that, but it's the times, and it's unsustainable. It really is. And the staff I've got working, and we have people regularly have 120, 140 hours on their time cards every payday. So anyway, all right. Any questions or?
So there were 4 homes, right?
I believe years and years ago, since I've been at the agency, I've worked for CMH since 08.
Okay.
And we had 3, and we closed Dewar since I've been there, and that was because of staffing shortages too in the county. There's just not the population to draw from.
Population per
Employees.
so there's still a need though, where are those? I mean, it's the same need it was.
Actually, it's been declining because Alpena, or CMH, Northeast, went a little history. Back in the 80s, when the state tried to close the institutions for developmentally disabled people, everybody from the state would take their IDD people and put them and house them in a state-run institution. And they decided to close the institutions down, and there's better quality of life. But a lot of the counties around the state wouldn't take their people back. They wouldn't bring them back and find placement for them. So our board very courageously and passionately believed in deinstitutionalization. So we'll take them. You bring everybody that the other counties won't take back, let the money follow them. And we had 26 group homes. Now, when you do population studies, and I've done that with our health department data, in the 4 counties we run, and each percent, what percent is profoundly, developmentally, and intellectually disabled, we probably should have 6 group homes. That's like what would support our population in these 4 counties. I say 7, because a lot of people retire up here with their disabled children, and then as they age, they need a place for people to take care of them now. So I figure we'll probably be at 7 right now, we're at 9. Closing this one gets us to 8. So as those people have passed away, and we take care of them to the end of life if we can, then we keep closing group homes. So we've been closing group homes since the 80s, knowing that was already planned through attrition.
So other counties have stepped up and.
No, now that they don't go into an institution, so they have to keep them in their county and find placement for them,
Yeah.
or pay another county to take them for them. But that's all resolved. Once we shut down all the institutions, those counties didn't have any other choice but to create programs and housing and ways to take care of people in their own counties. So statistically, we probably should be, or would have always been, about 6. I'm planning for 7, and the future is probably as low as we'll get. Okay, any questions?
I understand that there's a rating system involved in this. Did you want to talk about that?
A rating system? you mean?
As far as how much money you receive per patient?
Oh, yes, you all know that Medicaid is a mess. Once they came back and did the redetermination, I've got it if you want, because we might ask for your help in the future. This is just some infomercials about how our funding has also changed. We are doing okay at Northeast, but it's only because we're very, very frugal and, cut expenses, or so we're not, we probably will not end the year in a deficit. If it will, it'll be a small one. But as you can see, if you want a little history on that, Medicaid, during the pandemic, everyone had straight Medicaid. They didn't have to apply for redeterminations. They weren't in different categories. Nobody had spend downs. Everyone had straight Medicaid, and people never fell off Medicaid. So we knew that when they unwound the health emergency and they started doing redeterminations, they had a year where everybody had to apply to get redetermined whether they should qualify for Medicaid and which kind. Well, the state's also short-staffed, or new staff that are learning what to do. And the actuarials projected how many people they thought would fall off the Medicaid rosters. They figured about 300,000 to 400,000 would. Well, they underfigured it. And then they based our rates on that many people being on Medicaid. Well, they missed the mark. Over 700,000 people have fallen off of Medicaid in the last year through the redeterminations. Some of them, they don't do their mail, they don't open, they don't turn in all the paperwork, but a lot of us, have helped them with their applications and supported them, or their guardians have. So then they put them in the wrong buckets. So like I have people in my group homes that are very expensive to take care of every day, 24-hour staffing and all the medical stuff that you have to do to support them. And so they would take like a 80-year-old man or 70-year-old woman and know that they applied, they were qualified for Medicaid, but didn't know where to put them. So they put them in a Medicaid bucket called Families First. It's just for birth control or for prenatal. And we get $0 a month for somebody in Family First.
Oh.
Where if they're in the right bucket, then we get about, I don't know, a couple $100 to take care of them. And it is just devastated our budgets. It's devastated it. People are on spend downs that never been on spend downs. They're on straight Medicaid, and it depends on the Medicaid bucket. Like most people, maybe $30 is what you get to take care of somebody. But in the right one, if they're disabled, if they're age disabled or blind, then we get a lot more. You get like $300 for those people to take care of them.
Is that per day?
No, per month, per member per month.
$30 per month?
For some people, yes.
Per day.
Yeah. So anyway, but we don't serve everybody on Medicaid.
I see.
So we get paid that for everybody in this kind of Medicaid, but we don't serve all of it, but we have to if they do come in our doors. So then when somebody that's disabled, you get 300 and something a month, okay? But if they're in the wrong Medicaid bucket, even if they're not in Family First, I get 0, I might get 50. Where in the years in the past, I was getting 300 a month to take care of that person. So it's been, so you'll see, and then the other thing is, and I've been talking to our legislatures about this, you know, Cam Cavett and. The legislature appropriated several 200 and something million for our system that was supposed to be used for our system. Okay, we went in there to the budget department and they decided not to release all the money that the legislator. So there was 150 million still sitting there for our system that they didn't release. Well, finally, by the end of the fiscal year, we got an extra 40 million of that 150. Basically, we said it was holding hostage for. Then at the end of the year, they reduced a few more dollars, but about 90 million stayed at the state and then went into their general funds that they can spend on anything. Instead of taking care of the most vulnerable people in your communities that have nobody else to take care of them. And there's no institutions for the state to take care of them any longer either. So there's something wrong like that. We're trying to push, and we may ask you for a resolution that what they do is that they have to answer to the legislature if they don't push all the money out that the legislator appropriated for any system. They could do that with every group in the state, and then all this money goes to general funds, and the taxpayers don't have a decision on how the money gets spent. The administration does. So
I know you told me, but how many agencies are in the state?
there's 46 community mental health. Okay, it covers 83 counties and there's 46 of us. Some are single county, like the large counties, Kent County stuff, and others are multiple counties. We're a 4-county CMH. So, all right. Anything else? I just want to also let you know, my dream was if I closed a home, one of them is in a commercial zoned area. I've been trying, Terry knows, I've been trying to get an office down in this area. Every time something come up in Realtor, he'd show me and I'd look at it and bring our guy in. Anyway, our group home is already handicap accessible, has pretty decent parking. It'd be small, 3 offices, a psychiatrist there a couple of days a week, an outpatient therapist there, an intake person there. And we hit the zoning and ran into all kinds of brick walls for that. So my goal was maybe take one of those group homes and turn it into an office. In fact, all we'd have to do to turn it into an office is it has a half wall that divides living room. So that could be a waiting room and then a large area. Put the half wall up and put in a door, not even a doorway, a door. That's all I'd have to do to make it a confidential, handicap accessible, and it's already zoned commercial, but there's so many hoops we've got to jump through, and I just don't think I'll be able to do it, which is unfortunate.
Are you in the city or are you in the township?
Just sitting here. So. Just let you know, that was my goal. I still. Okay, thank you. Yeah, I was talking to Terry about it a little bit and had him, my maintenance guy's gonna let him know all the. I mean, architectural sealed designs are tens of thousands of dollars to get.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, it's there'll be less people in that building than when we had it as a group home. And because it's commercial now instead of residential, even though it's zoned for both, we have to put in this whole air exchange system. And I don't even own the home, I rent it, so it's like, yeah, I can't do that. I mean, if I can put up a half wall and a door and make it into an office and continue to rent it, that'd be great, but.
I think you also were going to add beds to the home that you're keeping. And you ran into paper.
Oh, yeah, I ran into trouble with that too with the state, so. Yeah, same thing, we, yeah,
That was easy.
got yeah, I mean, the guy that came in to inspect it. Carolyn Bruni, again, has been there 40 years, she holds the license, she's done this all the time. And she said, do we need to have a fire marshal come and inspect it? Nope, you've got it's already a group home, you're already licensed, you have, as long as you have your fire alarm system inspection within the last year, we're good. Came in, said there'd be no problems, came in, he measured everything at the day of the thing, when he's here, he goes, oh, this is gonna be easy, everything looks great, it's a beautiful home, blah, 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 all the measurements are fine, and it used to be an 8-bed home too, that's the other thing. So then it comes in again, after he goes back, his supervisor, again, sealed architectural designs. We have to put in a whole different fire system, we have to put in, I mean, to go from 6 to 8 when it used to be 8. It's just, so yeah. So that's why the other 2 people have to move out of Alcona County, because I was gonna make that 8-bed and then take care of everybody. So. Yeah, bureaucracy and nobody talks to each other. So anyway, all right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
For the-
Moving on to the Acrisure handbook proposal. Yeah. Table this, let's say that a week, it's added the week, the last time to get you on the quotes, Trina had worked on finding some other quotes, Let me. Either find places to do it or they're more expensive, right?
And they wanted all of our personnel, no. They wouldn't even give us a quote until, some of them, until we provided them with a whole slew of information and. Acrisure already has all of our. Our census for all of our employees and they have all that information already, so. Yeah,
So it seems like, I'll make a motion to approve Acrisure for the handbook project. Employee handbook project. Moved and seconded, Adam, Dave, our discussion goes, it's something we haven't, for 10 years.
17 is when we said last.
17 years, so.
Or that's the year. Yeah. 17, at least 10 years, I think.
I would just comment, the presentation was good, you know, some good program.
Yeah, to build on that, they presented to us this morning. And they're gonna send everybody a copy of what we talked about. We're gonna send Trina and she'll send it to us. We have a few things in the list, but, it seems like right now we should go ahead and have them quote. Well. Get the list from Trina and then see what that all says, but. But anyway, the motion on the table is to approve the handbook. Any other comments?
Finances in regards to that handbook that weren't anticipated.
Yeah, but I will, I'll talk to you about that. After. Good question. Any other comments? Do a roll call?
Johnston,
Yes.
Brumman,
Yes.
Small,
Yes.
Brady,
Yes.
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 Next up, final mural approval, Craig, if you would.
Let me text John. So if you remember, what was it, last fall, when we first brought this, Terry, when did you,
Yes.
last fall?
Yes.
They had talked about doing mural here on our retaining wall. And they've been working on it and I'm trying to get John to bring it up. He said he wasn't listening, so he said text him only. I sent it all to you. Take a look at, because we did ask to have final approval on it yet. Okay. So that you all got a copy of it and we've had about a month, I guess, to take a look at it. Terry's here, she can answer any questions we have.
I'll make a motion to approve the mural. And presented, seconded. Anybody have any questions for Terry?
There it is.
Well, hold on a second.
So what was the start date and the finish date? Are we anticipating?
We started talking.
Begin June 2nd.
June 23rd through approximately July 2nd. We were hoping to have it done for the 4th of July and then have like maybe a reveal, you know. And while he's working on the mural, he encourages people to come up if they want to do a little painting with him. So that it could be more personal to them. And he's very open to the public. Being there the entire time. We got our grant through, MACC, I wanna say, and. They gave us 4,000 for the grant. He's charging 5,000, so we're giving him the 5. But he just wants everybody to be involved, and so we have the people that we were contacting through the grant. They're actually gonna come and watch him paint it.
It's a one individual. This is gonna be the painting.
Yes. He's got 2 murals in Alpena already. Mhm.
Any other questions or concerns? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Moving on to claims.
I'd like to make a motion to approve pre-authorized claims and open claims presented for payment between May 7th of 2025 and May 20th of 2025 for check numbers 157-567 to 157-718 and e-checks 2629 to 2636 for a grand total of $771,750.76.
Second. Any questions or comments? Roll call.
Brumman,
Yes.
Small,
Yes.
Johnston,
Yes.
Brady,
Yes.
Yax.
Yes.
Motion carried. Next item is the county 2025 L 4029. Who wants to speak to this?
I know the form number, so basically it's giving me, this most likely utilization's coming from information directly, yeah. So they've calculated out what our millage, any rollback, looks like they rolled back a little bit. To 4.07, so we're at 4.12, it looks like. If you look up at the top, you can see our taxable value for the county, 997, almost $1 billion. Amazing. So this is gonna get approved and then we send it off to the state, I believe. Then they'll do state equalization on it. Correct on that?
No,
Not,
that's already been presented, the preliminary from the state. That was, Aaron reviewed it and it is correct. So it's already been, I mean, their report's already been sent to the state.
so do we need to approve this? 'Cause
Yes.
this is their review or approval.
No, this
So
is.
now the
this is
clerk,
the
this. Yeah, well,
Oh,
equalization, the director did this.
yeah,
So, yes, this one has to be approved and signed today.
So move and authorize chair to sign.
second,
Moved and seconded. Any more comment? Roll call.
Johnston,
yes.
Small,
Yes.
Brady,
Yes.
Yax,
Yes.
Brumman.
Yes.
Next up, background check RFP, Stephanie, if you would.
This doesn't have to be approved today, but we did get 3 RFPs, through actually Acrisure provided them to us, the 3 most utilized ones in the state of Michigan. And, I was hoping to review it and then you guys approve it today, but, we didn't have a personnel meeting, so if you will pick which one we think is best for the county, if we can have a personnel meeting before the next.
We're gonna get done pretty early here today, so we probably squeeze one in after the meeting, we can find next day, probably. So, what was first?
They're all pretty, which was just gonna lead to further questions. Because now, you know, we do background checks for the library, we do background checks for the county, we do them for the EMS. So are they gonna need their own budgets to have background for people that they hire?
I like your recommendation, we'll have a personnel meeting today and figure out. what we're
Like I said, we haven't been doing them, so it can wait until the next meeting,
Okay,
so we can discuss it with personnel and finance then.
perfect, thank you. 2025 preliminary state equalization report. Rest do that stuff, we,
Oh, that was basically, they just sent it, they want the county to review it, Aaron did review it, and it is correct. Their figures are correct.
so just submit your,
I'm gonna have to read through the email again to see if I need to just go, hey, yep, Alcona's good, I'll have to read it again.
motion to receive the report, how's that sound? What, moved and supported, any, questions, comments? All in favor?
I don't know.
Aye, all opposed. Motion carries. Transport, I've had finance meeting, Cheryl, any money we gotta move today? I mean, predetermined,
The only question I had, it went kind of in a big circle, there was the, scanner that was purchased for equalization.
oh yeah,
And it was sent from John to you, from you to finance with no indication of how that was going to go. I went back through the minutes. And the only thing that was addressed in the minutes for bringing money in from the was for the wages for that position. That particular equipment was never addressed. So if you need that to come out of fund balance, I did contact equalization, Lauren, and asked her to call twice. Never got a response in regards to, I was looking at their budget itself because there were different things that could be utilized,
okay.
but I didn't know their needs. So I wasn't able to confirm that. So it's entirely up to you if you want to hold off on doing that, but the bill needs to be paid. It's, I believe, $929 for that scanner. So, or it can come in through fund balance, how you've been doing it in the past, but that, I gave you the information on the increase that we have
Can I make a
from 0
motion,
to 600,000.
I thought you did.
can I make a motion to, approve finance to decide where to pull that money from in the event that we can, there's some money in the equalization we can look at?
That's what I was trying to establish and I never got a response, so.
So I'd like to
If I
talk
did
about
it.
that at the finance meeting today.
Okay.
And if I can get approval of the finance committee to, have the final say on where that money comes from, that's my motion. To pay for this $900 scan.
I'll support.
Moved supported. Any other questions, concerns? We can take care of this today then. Okay, roll call.
Small,
Yes.
Brumman,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Yax,
Yes.
Brady.
Yes. Other than that, I don't have anything finance other than we're gonna meet after personnel, this meeting's over. Moving to personnel. First business personnel is eliminating the closed session for the last part of today's meeting as advised, 10 minutes ago by our attorney. We will not be having that closed session today. Other than that, then we're gonna bring forward today, had a meeting with, Dave Hanson last couple weeks ago, Craig, you wanna?
Yeah, so we have a proposal to, we had talked about this in the past, and we have an MOU for approval. But I don't think did everybody get a copy of it or not?
Probably not, so you just hand it to me, or just not hand it straight to you.
So, we would like to recommend that we, move the custodial position, for this particular person from a 101 to a 201, effective June 24th, 2025. Contract allows for that, has some articles in it that allows us to do that. After talking with Dave, and I think it's come up here in the past, through the last year of his employment, he's done a good job. He's definitely stepped up and done everything. He's moving more into a little more than a custodial job.
Like an assistant.
Yeah. We don't have an assistant, but he is definitely, he's shown that he can
Does that
handle the.
potentially take money from you?
No. So he's not gonna be in a managerial position. He'll still be non-managerial, but he will just move up to a 201 and have some added responsibilities. And he has already had them, I guess, and he's shown that he can handle that, so. we Felt like it would be appropriate to
What was the date?
June, it's actually his anniversary date,
24.
1 year, June 24.
How does that line up with payroll cycle? In that,
Oh, make it work.
okay,
You can
We had-
You'll submit one at your old rate and then a whole new timesheet at your level 201 new rate.
And we had money in the budget for that.
It was pre-budgeted actually for the whole year, it just never,
And it
never
was,
been acted on.
we had brought it up in the past, we talked about this, I mean, these offices that only have one position. And they have nowhere to move to, and as they increase responsibilities or increase whatever's. How we work, allow them to make
Yeah.
advances.
When Mike was there,
Michael, Mike Reed?
yeah,
Yeah.
he came to us and asked if that position be modified. So, as you said, it's not a new concept.
Conversation.
There's part of me that says, as we move forward with AccuSure, that with any luck, we may be able to have a redefining of all of our positions. And at that time, but I guess if Josh is already been moved up, I have mixed feelings. Josh is doing, I think, a very good job. He's very, seems to be very visible. He is very pleasant. Works well without having to be followed around. And has many good attributes. But,
That was one of the apprehensions, because I think when it first came in, they wanted right at 90 days for that to happen, and I probably shared what you're saying now, I wasn't for that, I wanted to see what was gonna happen, how was he gonna respond, how was he gonna do, we could have very well been keeping it a one-on-one.
but I believe sitting at this table in recent time, we have had people who have. Right. About the fact that we're moving people around or moving them up, and we shouldn't be doing that, but yet here we're doing it again. I'm not opposed to this. But we can't have it two ways. We either have to be willing to do this. And shut up about it when somebody says, oh, well, I don't think they should. You know, as I said, I have no problem with seeing Josh moved up. But, it's contrary to what some of which said at the table has been in the past.
Any other comment? Oh, we know.
I made a motion.
Oh, you did, right, okay.
I seconded it.
Anybody second, Stephanie?
It is not.
I didn't even have Craig as first, but yes,
There you
who
go.
was the second?
I was.
Okay,
Any more comment? Roll call,
yeah,
Yes.
Brady,
yes.
Small,
Yes.
Johnson.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who we got the treasurer?
Hold on, in
Oh,
addition,
go ahead.
so, Dave. Mike Reed, did go for his MCAT last week, he got a class and passed it, so he's now certified in equalization with MCAT, so he's pretty happy about that.
Good news, yeah, how's that? Now treasurer report.
We are moving forward, in the treasurer's office with the BSNA programming, for payments. Not that all paid has not served us well. This will be a better tool for the constituents to make their payments. They can use their bank accounts or credit cards. The fees are a little bit lower. During our meeting, I encouraged the other townships to consider, if not this, the other alternative for collection. It has increased our collection rate and the convenience for people because they can do it 24/7. This one's a little bit different. Has a few more options. I don't know, we're gonna see, we have an onboarding on the 2nd of June for the program. So that should be exciting for everybody. Other than that, finished up settlement today, actually, with one of the townships, the final township. So we are all done with that, working on, we have filed our petition for the forfeitures, the properties that went into forfeitures that are going into foreclosure. The petition was filed yesterday. For, I think there's 274 properties on that for potential foreclosures for next year. And as you know, at the end, we end up with 10, 11, 12, 13 sometimes more, sometimes less. Payout was, I don't know if I mentioned this last time, it was approximately $250,000 more than it was the prior year. Which is leaves a lot more outstanding funds that to come back in. What else? Obviously, we've been, oh, update. I had contacted the auditors and sent them, there was a few outstanding pieces that they needed. I haven't heard back from them. I do have a question on the position, if that's something that we're gonna talk about today and not in closed session. Is that something that's gonna be discussed at a later date, or I thought maybe it would be handled in personnel?
Oh. Well, during that time, we can talk about it, just not be closed. I'm fine with that. Tell you where it's at, what's going on. We can do that.
Well, the latest in the grievance was, the potential use of MERC.
Oh.
And based on the information we received from Bonnie Toski,
Yeah.
I feel like it would be appropriate in my opinion, to move forward with that. But that's that's all on, it's also on you. That's the lead on that.
As an employer, I appreciate that. Yeah, yeah. You have a say in this too, so. At the end here, instead of going to close, we'll just, have a discussion about it. And then, I will discuss the details of MERC versus the other one, and then we can, make motion. Choose one or the other. I'm okay with that.
Thank you. Other than that, I really don't have a whole lot to report. This particular thing has taken up, the majority of the time. I did have a funeral I went to for, last week, Thursday, Friday, and I was back Monday, so that was kind of on my mind for the week, but other than the 138 emails that I answered on Monday, from prior to days that I was gone. And back and forth, that's about all I have. Is there any questions anybody has for me?
Off the top of your head, I don't expect you to know this, but pay your taxes online with that service, is there a percentage fee that goes with that?
Yes.
Yeah, okay, that's fine.
It is less than what we have now.
Okay,
It is, I believe it's 2.7%.
Okay.
2.75 plus a 50 cent per transaction. Right now it's 3% or 3 point something, depending on the card that you're using, because the different credit cards charge different rates, and so there's all paid with that.
thank you.
Our auditors were good. They still haven't,
We don't have we don't have anything back yet, so I haven't really,
they didn't come here for an exit interview or.
it'll probably be a Zoom meeting.
Oh.
But when we get that information, we will. I'm gonna have to the end of the week. Actually Thursday, and then if we don't hear from them by Thursday, I will contact them. See what's up and let you know by the 28th, by the potluck. Yeah, I'm looking at the calendar. There's potluck on the 28th. We'll pick that day.
Okay, thank you very much. Clerk's report.
CBIZ, that's part of MMRMA. They came, I think we have to have this done every 4 to 5 years, so it's been that long and they're coming around again. They'll do the evaluations of all the properties under our liability insurance. So I've coordinated with Dave, he can do the sheriff's department, the county building and the MSU building, but then got to thinking about it. I'm gonna have to contact Tony to make sure he's available, the veterans, the library. Then that trickled down to the 5 libraries under the county's liability insurance. So we're trying to coordinate. They'll be here on June 3rd at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And then, that following Tuesday, or following Wednesday morning, she'll be here on site. So working on getting that together. The canvassers met on the 8th and canvassed the election, as far as, what's called a balance report, as far as how many people voted, how many ballots went out, how many came in, Alcona County, they all balanced. All 9 of the precincts, so that was really good. That led to the state selects an township to audit, and Dustin was chosen this time. Deputy, or the county clerks aren't allowed to do the audits anymore for whatever reason. But the deputy can, so she performed the audit and that went really well. It's been uploaded online. The meeting with Acrisure, I just wanted to go into that a little bit more, that was at 11 o'clock today. They have all kinds of things that they can build. And, being that we were already clients and got a 20% discount on the proposal that they had submitted. They, for free, did some additional with the, background checks for the RFPs. Those were provided to us as a freebie also, but Trina made copies of those sheets for you. I don't know if you want to select the top 5, if you want to select the top 10, or if you think they're all great. But not necessarily just to jump on board and have this done now, but maybe something that could be budgeted for, if not in 2016. But right now, 2 of the most important things they're going to update the manual, but there will be a brief overview description of non-exempt and exempt employees. And 1099s versus the W-2s. They've also said, because Carolyn was talking about the job descriptions, that they can also work on those if we want. These are all separate audits that we can have done, down to our personnel files. Also wage and salary surveys that they take nationwide. So say it's not anything that someone's been given that's gonna be taken away, but anything with maybe new hires starting out at an entry level going forward. So they have all kinds of really neat things, and to bring us into compliance. And again, we're not attorneys in the clerk's office, so when we're left to have to interpret stuff, doesn't mean that we're interpreting it correctly by any means. I think that's all I have. I'm sure there's more. That's all I got.
All right, thanks, Stephanie. Sheriff's report.
Joe Brady, saw Bill today. One better.
I think covered. Huh? No, good 6 is Friday.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
I wish it was.
I feel horrible that this is where I stand. You guys find back.
You could really get right on over there.
I don't know, it's a nice change of pace in here today. Yeah, let's see if there's a short. Well, it may not look like it, but the busy season's here. It's supposed to warm up sometime and Memorial Day is coming up. So we start our ORV Marine Patrol and US Forest Service patrols this weekend. We accomplished our Marine and ORV with our corrections officer who was certified to do both of those. As a uncertified police officer, he's had extra training to do those type of things and enforce those acts. He's not allowed to enforce state laws outside of that, but if it's the Marine Act or the ORV Act, he can act on those things. US Forest Service Patrol requires a law enforcement officer that's fully certified to do, so we just have to, when they're not busy, we try to get some time in on that, so they do that during the course of their regular shift. Next weekend is June 1st through the 3rd is the Michigan Sheriff's Association Conference in Grand Rapids. So the undersheriff and I will attend that. Obviously, there's some really neat networking in that. We also are able to accomplish the training that we need to keep through the course of the year to keep our certification with MGOLD. He has to be, the undersheriffs in any county have to remain police officers and they have to keep their certification. We probably are supposed to, although there's some contention because we're a constitutionally mandated office and we're not required to be police officers, whether we need to keep our certification. So we do, we try to keep our up on the training anyways, and we accomplish that through the Sheriff's Association meetings.
We're watching a couple of House bills really close, 4260 and 61. They've been passed through the House 104-4, so overwhelming support for that. And what that is, a violent crime prevention fund that they're setting up, and they're carving out a little bit of the state sales tax revenue to put towards that. Now, initially, it didn't sound like anything that was going to affect us because they were going to funnel it towards the violent areas of the state of Michigan for which we wouldn't qualify. That got stalled up last year and didn't go through. It came back this year with a little bit of a couple of nice things for us on it. 70 million was supposed to go towards those violent areas, and whatever's left over, which we think is going to be around $40 million, is going to be divvied up amongst the sheriffs. Depending on how many sworn officers you have at your agency, it'll be divvied up. Initially, we're hearing anywhere between $10,000 and $15,000 per. That's a lot of money for us. That's a big chunk of change, somewhere in the neighborhood of 120 to 140, $150,000. So that's changing for us. That helps out a ton. Problem is, it passed the House and went to the Senate, and you have a little bit different version there. The House version has sheriffs dictating what that money is used for, to go towards enhancing, not supplanting. So you have to add to your office or use it somewhere additionally that you're not currently using it. Where the Senate version doesn't quite have that, and it just falls into your general fund. And as you know, once it's in the general fund, it's gone, and it doesn't get directed towards that violent crime prevention. The caveat also is that you have to show that you're using it some fashion or form towards that end, preventing violent crime in your community. So anyways, we're looking forward to that. We'll see how it ends up going through the House, but we that was one of the main things we hit on a couple weeks ago when I was down there in Lansing talking with the House and senators. Our hunt follow-up meeting is June 6th, which is coming right up. Terry, I don't know if you have that on your calendar or not, but that's a special meeting, and that's really to discuss the future hunt, whether it's going to survive or not. I've talked to the other sheriffs and chiefs involved in that, and there's some real mixed feelings on where and how that's going to progress. So we'll wait and see how that is. But the bottom line is they're understaffed by the local agencies, the sheriffs and the chiefs that are associated with that, just don't have the personnel to put on it right now. All right, Osco County Jail sent us a bill for an extra $17,000 for the first quarter of the year. Yes, because we've been over. I think I mentioned that at the last meeting, but a little more specifically, in 3 months, there's about 90 days and 3 months. Well, 78 of those days we were at 15 plus inmates. So obviously they're going to be charging us for that. And this time it was in the amount of about $17,000. That's quite a bit. I only budgeted for $10,000 overages. So towards the end of the year, it's not anything we need to address now, but knowing that going towards the end of the year, we're gonna be short towards the end, especially if we continue with this trend of being over down there, which I think we probably will be. We paid them $135,000. 135,000, yes, yeah. And when we go over, it's $35 per day per inmate. And so anyways, I think I mentioned at the last meeting, that contract expires at the end of the year. The sheriff and I have already met a couple times and talked about a couple of the issues. One financial, but the others are just personnel and things like that. But the other thing is that their county administrator is in his ear about that thing too. So there's some things in the work on that. There's plenty of time to work on it, but that's coming up by the end of the year. Our road patrol has already worked 512 hours of overtime. We're 4.5 months into the year, and that was our short, slow time of the year. Our busy time's coming up, and our staffing levels are still pretty low, bare bones. A couple of things that I've been looking at. I've been looking at a COPS grant. Mr. Small, you may be familiar with these earlier in your career. These were kind of a big thing. They cover some or most of the costs associated with hiring new people and getting them put out on the road. They don't cover all the costs, and the other caveat is they help you out for the first 3 years, but you're obligated for 5. So after that, the county has to pick up, county or township or city has to pick up the rest of the costs associated with that. Some places have had good luck with that and some have not. I think Iosco County had some real trouble with that in the late 90s when they weren't able to meet their obligation at the end of the 3 years. So that's something to look at, but I think it's at least worth taking a look at. In lieu of our shortages, it might be a way to get things kick-started in the meantime. I'm looking at I talked about looking at some different options for reopening the jail at different levels. One is a full-time, full staffing, which is a lot. It would be a lot of money and a lot of people. And another option might be like a half staffing where we're 24/7 with one staff on. That's kind of what most of the jails that are in our category are doing, is they're putting one person on so that when there's an arrest, the arrest can stay in the county and be here and not have to take deputies out of the county and out of their county for protection. So that's one of the things that's to be done. But I'm looking at some of the costs associated with that and logistics, because there's a lot of them in reopening, up to and including, beds and clothing and shoes and all the things associated with opening back up. Looking at a MDHHS grant, and it's a little bit complicated, but it is for fighting against violence, crime against women. I think we may already participate in a group from Alpena that take on victims of crime for women's and house them for us. So I may have to look at that. We may already be getting the benefits of that. It may not be coming here, it may be going there, but it's a pretty neat grant to help them out, and it's sexual assault and violent crimes against women grant. I also got some paperwork on some new guidance from MAC about opioid settlement money and how that can be spent. I don't know that it varies a heck of a lot from what they gave out originally, but I'll look at that and share that with the opioid committee at our next meeting. And I know this board has talked a little bit in the past about using that towards a school resource officer or some other function of our office. I haven't really got that feeling from the opioid committee that they're real interested in spending any of that money towards law enforcement. But it can certainly be asked of, so.
The guidance indicates that might be a possibility.
Well, there are other counties that are doing it.
Well,
There are counties that are using it to supplement towards school resource officer. There's some using it for drug teams. But she's right. You have to show that you're using it in some way, shape, or form to prevent substance abuse. I'm the law enforcement arm of this, and my argument is that law enforcement enforcing laws associated with substance abuse is prevention. In the guidance from MAC and from the state and even from our local committee, I'm feeling that those, not all of those groups agree with me on that. They take a little bit more of a liberal stance on that. As preventing overdoses and relapsing and things like that after people have got addicted. And from the law enforcement perspective, we want to get ahead of it before they get addicted or before the drugs get into our community. To me, that's prevention. The prevention from their standpoint is just a little bit different. So it's just a little bit different terminology in how we look at it. Mm-hmm.
All right, one thing I got from, I'll jump in here a little bit. I attended the meeting of the Northeast Michigan Community Corrections Services. And they're indicating that they want to work more with. Actually, I understand IAS was kind of outside of that area.
Yeah, outside of that area, yeah.
And they want to.
As we go on, I will share with you some of the IASCA stuff. I got involved in it last little bit of time,
In regards to,
opioid stuff.
oh, okay, well,
Yeah.
this is,
Oh, okay.
Totally
I
different.
thought they put it on that path.
no,
Okay.
they said.
I look forward to hearing all of it.
Yeah, and what I understand, they're going to try to work better with Alcona County, with their prisoners in Iosco County. They're aware that we do ship them down there.
Mhm.
And they will be trying to get programs down there for the inmates.
It's similar to the opioid committee. They're looking to do some things with substance abuse disorder and treatment of inmates in the jail down there. And with our inmates going down there, I only have limited say on what they allow or don't allow in that jail. And really right now, they don't allow medically aided treatment for substance abuse disorder, which means handing them medication to withdraw. They help them withdraw. They don't help them on the outs. So once it's time to get ready to go, they're not handing them their prescriptions to stay sober. Whereas that's kind of the progression of things in a lot of places, and including the doctor who's talked to our IRP committee, and his name escapes me, Beatty, yeah. that's his foray, you know, he wants to see these people treated and continue treatment once they get out of jail. I will tell you that when our jail was in operation, you got medicated while you were here for whatever disorder it was, substance abuse or diabetes or whatever. When you left the door, you didn't take your medication with you. It was ours and you didn't take it. And the reason is we didn't want to see you overdose on stuff that we handed you. Now, I think we've probably been on that maybe with insulin and a couple of things like that, but I think that's the other part. But the other side of the coin is we don't want to see people leaving county jails sober and cleaned up and go out on the street and get a hold of some of this stuff that may be a little bit stronger than it was when they went into jail, or their tolerance is decreased since they've been in jail and sobered up. They get out and take something that's quite a bit stronger, and guess what? They're dead because the first time they got out of jail they're using. So there's a whole other aspect of that too, and I can see both sides of it. I really can.
I think these programs that I was talking about are more have to do with the GED,
Mhm.
and those kinds
Mhm.
of things.
Yeah, and there's some neat programs out there. GED is one. Another one is getting people back on Social Security and benefits so that when they get out, they can get medications for mental health or drugs or whatever it is they need to get their healthcare taken care of. They can't because it's shut off as soon as they get in jail. That's shut off, and it takes so much time after they get back out to get back on it. And while we were still open, we were working on some pretty good things along all of these directions. You know, and it all came to a standstill 5 years ago. You know, and I'll tell you the same thing I told the opioid committee. I can do it better here than they can do it in Iosco. But right now, the situation is, you know, we're relying on them. You know, so I can't call down there and tell the sheriff, this is what you're gonna do, this is what I want to see you doing. I'm kind of at his beck and call as far as some of that goes. And that's okay. You know, and I can give my 2 cents and he's pretty receptive to that, but I'm not changing rules down there. Like here, I can accommodate a lot of things a lot easier, whether it's opioid committee or mental health or the court system. We can accommodate things here a lot quicker and easier than they can. When the judge wants to see somebody now, that's, you know, it's an hour away at least, and that's if we're hot footing it down there and back.
You say you're looking into this, how soon will we know what your feeling is going to be one way or the other?
As far as my jail, I don't think even before the end of the year, I think we'd have to take a close look at what they're looking to charge us, as far as that going up, and maybe look at some trends more. I mean, obviously, from what I've told you today, it's pretty clear that the trends are going up on incarceration. From when we closed at a low of 2 inmates to, you know, we're averaging between 15 and 20 a day now. So I wouldn't expect anything before that, you know, but numbers are very easy. It's very easy for us to crunch numbers on staffing and budgets, and compare it to what we're doing right now. That's very easy. Some of the other startup costs are a little more difficult to figure out, you know, to find out what we have for materials and supplies. But I think it's, you know, fair to take a look at it and study it, and compare different options. Cause there's not just a one size fits all for everybody out there. You know, there's probably something in the middle that might work pretty well. You know, unfortunately, you start talking about staffing halfway, you know, you're talking about 4 or 5 staff members and, you know, you're up in the $800,000 range real quick. You know, I think the lady was here a little while ago talking about staffing 2 people, you know, for the doer home or whichever home. You know what? I know too. That's what we're doing. 2 people in the jail all the time. $1 million. I know pretty close. So.
What was your thought process on the ability to get people who are certified appropriately?
Yeah, so
Is that pool out there?
it certified already, not a lot. There are, so Corrections Academy is a little bit different than Police Academy. Corrections is done in service. So you hire them and then within 1 year of being hired, they have to be certified. We're in a public meeting and I could say pretty confidently, I could steal a couple back from Alpena County pretty easily that work for us, that live here, that would probably come back to work for us relatively quickly. Those wouldn't be too hard. You know, to get a couple people off the street who've never been in law enforcement or corrections before, get them in here and get them trained, it'd take a little bit longer.
It's a tough position.
It is. Yeah, it truly is God's work. It's you are in there with the worst of the worst in a bad circumstance, and nights, holidays, and weekends, with people that don't want to be there for the most part.
Your family's unwrapping Christmas presents, and you're sitting in a jail arguing with something. Not arguing, I would probably, but you know.
Yep.
and confronted by.
Yeah, I think your question is very valid. I think it's a very, very difficult challenge to find the staff to do that. I think we heard earlier that staff is just hard to find in Oklahoma County to do that.
He's got his hardest staff to find, too.
Yeah, sure does. Same thing, God's work there too. Yeah. And did you have some comments about the opioid and how that's being used in Iosco County, or do you want to wait till later to talk about that, or?
Chairman. I can expound on it now happily, or.
We're heading into committee reports next anyway.
Okay.
I guess it's really none of my business to be asking you that anyways, I'm sorry. All set with me? Thank you.
Thank you, Chad. Reports, Secretary Carroll.
Did I hear my name in there?
Yes. That's me.
Um. Very supportive people have said, oh, I asked if those really need stuff. They're really involved in their opioid and you really need to get involved and see what they're doing and learn more about what they are doing. So this week I said, I gotta do that. I mean, you know, people are asking and I've got to do it. But I had difficulty when I went in on the website and do things like that. And I came up with this absolutely wonderful opioid committee meeting minutes. It was most impressive. They have, I'm guessing it's on ballot laying on my desk, I should have brought it, but I didn't. I'm going to say 12 to 15 people on that committee. They have 3 or 4 doctors, one of whom is retired, that doesn't really matter. There's a judge on it, and it was very impressive. And then I began to learn a little bit more about it. It's a committee. I'm not sure why it's existing exactly. They have no money. They practically do nothing as far as doing anything. It is not even hardly related, other than the subject. It is not related anywhere near to the opioid. They do not utilize and have not utilized any of their opioid lawsuit money. In fact, they didn't even know how much they had. They called in Michigan State University and asked them to do a survey in the community, which they did last fall. And they decided, the survey told them that they needed a place for people to go for treatment. They needed a place for the people, for the clients to live when they came out of treatment. Then we had that figured out on. And which is the, eventually will be the nest, hopefully. They are having Michigan State University come up June 24th to explain to them what they're supposed to do. There have been 6 inches of manuals, of dictates, of etc. I mean, my stack is like this. Stephanie's is probably bigger of what we can and can't do with it. But after Michigan State comes up and tells them what they can do with it, then they are going to have Michigan State write an RFP, and they will distribute that within their county to see who in their county can provide the best thing to do for people. And they'll look at that, and then they'll decide from that, they'll weigh those. They'll have a weight scale method to determine. From that, they will then award the money. I'm sorry. I think there are a step or 2 behind our phone. I don't believe what I've taken this week, but I have not called the commissioner who was assigned to this, but I did talk with the comptroller, and she seemed relatively knowledgeable about what they were doing. But, I think we probably did as well as Michigan State would do. And we didn't have to wait for them, and our money is already working for it. So. We're ahead of the money. I say that cautiously and hopefully not egotistically, but I think they're doing it better than they were. But the rest of my things that I've been doing besides that, in Cedar Lake Water Management. Cedar Lake is, Cliff, I should say, is doing a water management plan. It's a mere approximately 470 pages, and we are having a meeting Friday to review that and make corrections and see if we got the right angle, different things and so on. And I haven't gotten as far through it as I need to get. Sunrise Center, as I indicated to you, is looking for a new CEO. Madeline will be leaving in September, although she has offered to do a little bit of contract work for areas that we might still need. There's extensive licensing and certification for people in those positions. And we don't know, but we have put the ad out on the internet. And so we're kind of waiting to see what comes back for that. We had a full board meeting for 211 last Tuesday. We're just kind of plodding along and moving along. Our opioid committee, met this past Monday. Dr. Beatty is asking for additional, well, the money that we gave him was back in 2024. He's asking for money for 2025. Our committee went back, said, we need more detailed information as to be sure this is being spent appropriately. He does have more clients from Alcona than he had, more patients, because a doctor who was treating over in the Traverse City area is no longer treating. So he turned over all of his patients to various people around his area. ACCOA finance meetings, and we're beginning to plan for the implementation of the new building.
Thank you. Dave.
Oh, I was at a Northern Michigan Association of Counties meeting. There's still, I guess there's not a lot happening in the, Michigan Congress. Obviously the House is, Republican and the Senate is Democrat, so nothing is getting done. Budgets, everything, they're at odds. They're still talking, the Senate's still trying to take up the septic tank, deal. I mean, it's not gonna, it's bad, it's not going anywhere, but I think they just keep it going along. Talk a little bit about Axe and Tax, there's hope in the community still doing their thing. And they reiterated there's no funding for schools, in them. But as at a couple, Caledonia, Oklahoma Township meetings, the Black River is getting dredged right now at the mouth, by DNR. That should be probably wrapped up for this weekend. And they're working at building a new pavilion in Black River. So they're coming up with designs, and I think their plans are to start right after,
Doing that.
yes, right after Labor Day. When it slows down for the year. That was me.
I attended the, as I said, the North Michigan Community Corrections Services meeting. And again, they promised to do a better job for help. If I ask County with us transplant, we are aware that we do put our prisoners in Idaho County. Also attended the NECOG meeting. They're going to be, they want to do a presentation here on the land banks. They mentioned that to me. The trail system, they talked a little bit about that. DNR was there with all the problems that they have with trees all over the place. That would be a quite a problem. Yeah, well, apparently they're all closed. And on a lighter note, I think I talked a little bit about the last meeting about Amtrak resolution moving up and down.
Mhm.
There's been a grant wrote and accepted to fund the railroad out here between Alpena and Pinconning to redo the tracks because of the increased traffic or whatever of the using the railroad coming out of the stone coming out of Alpena.
How many grand? How many dollars? A
Million,
lot,
a million each.
million, yeah.
Yeah, it's a big one. So I don't know if it's related to it, it's not related to the traffic, I hold as far as it.
How
Amtrak.
ironic.
Huh?
How ironic.
Yeah, I thought it was kind of funny too, so, but that's all I have.
Actually, great.
All right, veterans, so they had their meeting yesterday, I was busy, but Pat and I talked this morning and went over everything. So they're in the process of getting their pavilion built, they hope to have that up by probably mid-June, I would guess. That would be going, they did submit the grant that we approved last meeting, so that's down there getting reviewed by the state, and decide whether or not, you know, what they decide to get out of that. But I'm sure everybody's seen, I've had a couple people ask me, and I expressed my opinion and other people's opinion to Pat about our events on Memorial Day. And I said, you know, before, I kind of have a feeling that they might want to move everything over to the veteran building at some point. And I said, you know, it's a pretty big tradition to have it here at the courthouse, and anybody I talked to has always said that, so they haven't made any decisions on that, it'll be there, it'll be here this year, for sure.
Here this year?
Yeah, it's here, and I'll have Dan the smoking man again, so if you come, it's a great feed, there's, Gold Fork, and he does a really good job over there in the pavilion, so it's really nice, so if you get a chance, no, it's good. City of Harrisville, I zoomed into their meeting, I don't know, Terry, were you there at that meeting or? Okay.
Tracy was though.
So they've got a lot of things going on. I can't report all of them, but the one I did bring up don't laugh at me. So, but one fun thing is that I did report that we approved a resolution for Amtrak, and everybody was almost cheering in there. Like, and I said, well, hold on, it's not gonna, happen tomorrow. So I'll make sure I send them that the tracks are getting redone. I'll be in the thing down and know it. Yeah, they're doing, they're doing their thing. They've got some harbor commission issues with the Wine and Food Festival and some other things down there and how they're trying to figure out who's in charge of what, so.
You didn't tell them?
No, I just. Good luck. Finally, DHD two, so I updated a little bit before and I'll continue now if anybody's got any other questions. So one of the big issues, Corey Upper, who's the environmental specialist, reported that Alpena treatment plant is no longer accepting sewage from our local haulers in this county, for sure, so there's gonna be a real problem here. He called it a minor, no, he didn't call it minor, small catastrophe, because these guys have nowhere to go, so they're in a permitting process to try to do land applications. And then, but there's storage, one hauler has leased, I don't know, half a dozen of those big tanks you see on when they're drilling, to be able to store it in that. Cause it has to be stored for a certain period of time before they can spread it. And so it's a kind of a big deal. I guess DHD went up there to Alpena, sat down with the management and said, please, and they said, nope, we're done. We don't wanna take any more, so. That's in that process. PFAS is ongoing. I think they had a meeting this week. So that goes on. The opioid thing did come up at DHD. So Scott Izzo, I think he came to one of your meetings. Cause he's on the Iasco County opioid committee. And he said, Alcona is way ahead of everybody else. He said that so they were looking, and was he one of the ones who reached out? Cause they said, well, call Carolyn, she will know what's going on. Yeah, because they're starting from brand
I
new.
find it humorous. Yeah,
Well,
they had to have Michigan State do a survey of what the needs were, and really great. The money always tells you, these are the needs. This is what you have to follow.
So I know you're saying all this really nicely, you know, but, well, because I just looked it up and they do have $600,000.
That doesn't.
Yeah, I just, they have around $600,000 in their fund, and I, you know, if we were to, you know, join with them, like with the nest, I mean, that is in Iosco County anyway. So if there's ways, if you don't get too harsh with them, light them up, you know what I mean? I'll take that as you'll think about it, how's that?
I'll take that one.
Alright. So, I guess that's it for me.
Right, so I'm gonna take this opportunity, so now committee to circle back around to the new position in the treasurer's office as a deputy treasurer. Union and to close, the union is, has given us grievances, as everybody's aware. That's right now, so there was communication with Bonnie Toski. She's a employment lawyer, or whatever you call it, labor lawyer, and she's given some recommendations up to this point. So we are now officially approaching the what's it called?
Mediation.
Arbitration.
Well, there's a choice, right? That's a choice.
Mediation, arbitration, whatever you wanna call it, but mediation, we'll call it, but the rep from the union has communicated that there are two, our contract calls for the use of the organization FMCS in the selection of arbitrators. There's another option for MERC, I don't know what that means, what the acronym means, but it's another, obviously arbitrators. The union would like to use MERC, and I have been advised as of noon today that, legal counsel also suggests we use MERC. So we'd have to, I'll make a motion to go outside of union I don't know how to say this. I'll make a motion to use MERC as opposed to FMCS for the arbitration process.
For mediation for the purpose of arbitration.
Right, it's doing arbitration.
All right,
This is the mediation
Right.
portion.
So just for information, MERC means Michigan Employment Relations Commission.
thank you.
That's who they are.
Also,
Did you get a second?
I did not,
Also, no, did the same.
move and seconded,
So this was to use MERC
correct.
for mediation purposes.
And we have to do this because in in the contract, it identifies FMCS, we have to have a motion to approve the change.
Okay. And who was the second?
Correct.
There a cost in this?
As a matter of fact, FMCS, there was a cost, and MERC, my sources tell me there is no cost in that cost. Any other questions or comments on this particular issue? Well, we'll do a roll call, I guess.
Yeah,
Yes.
Brumman,
Yes.
Small,
Yes, we'll do.
Roll call.
No.
That's a no from Gary.
Johnson,
Yes.
Brady.
Yes. The next issue I'll bring up right now is that, during finance meeting, after this proceedings, we'll, discuss, obviously it's gonna cost money, right? So, we're gonna start getting bills from, Mr. Koski's law firm, about this issue. We will have a finance meeting to decide, you know, how to do that, obviously, obvious answer is out there. But, we can bring to the next meeting, if that's okay with, our co-employer, bring to the next meeting the options for payment of those services.
Sure.
Okay,
You still have quite, I mean.
We have
your
a balance in our legal services.
Legal
It's not
services.
nothing
oh, really?
Yeah, it's
specific that needs to be addressed at this
Oh,
point.
fantastic. I'll bring it up anyway
You
because.
just get, you just have to put fire lines.
Oh, yeah, nice. All right, very good. I just wanna bring it up because, that's gonna be a question. Any other, so that's committee reports, communications during your, packet, review at your leisure. Last segment of public comment, anybody?
Me, question.
Okay,
It is a comment, basically, and I do have a question for Dave. Real quick, at the Elkhorn Township meeting, have they did any further discussions about a break law? Or is it just gonna constantly be the?
It seems, in it only, yeah, they didn't get a grant that they were after,
they were turned down, you gotta even be able to have a break law,
No,
whatever association,
okay.
whatever government. Is in charge of that.
And the opioid thing comes up a lot, as Carolyn reported and Scott reporting and Terry, you know, whether Hunt is going to make it or break it. Makes me shake my head when you have all this opioid funds sitting out there, and I can't think of a better use towards prevention. When you're confiscating drugs, and so we're Hunt could possibly fold, and there goes, and we have $600,000 sitting in the next county. Also, I'm surprised that Zach has not been to their board to request funding for the nest.
They're not part of the.
No, in addition
The
to
nest.
for opioid funding from Iosco County, since the nest is just over the county line. I'm surprised he has not been there yet to ask for funding.
He doesn't have anything to go to. They haven't met yet. Their first meeting is June 24th.
Anyway, just my comment.
I hit my desk this morning, I don't think we talked about that.
I have a thought process, which many of my thought processes aren't worth.
If you're wondering, we are now into commissioners additional.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were-
We're there.
Thank you. I would like to have finance think about maybe considering, please, with the sheriff, don't come into the, but that each one of our activities in the general fund be asked to identify 0.5% up to 1 full percent. They can relinquish $10 from this line item, $15 from this line item. We are taking money out of the general, out of our reserves at a rate that can't be sustained. And I don't know. I don't, that's the best idea come up. I'm not saying it's a good one, but somebody give me a better idea for us to find a way to provide for the funding for these kinds of things. If you can put anything, I don't believe, or hardly anything, into the contingencies. We should, or, yeah, we should. So maybe this would allow us to have a very small contingency to handle some of these things. Maybe pretty cold.
Okay. Anybody else have
Just
commissioner additional comment?
I'm trying to address this.
I mean, you're figuring whatever you'd like,
Well, you probably need a lot more information.
I will totally agree. Okay, anybody else?
Then you could accept it.
And you say, you can do whatever you want, you're, I realize that.
I don't know that it's really an issue we wanna talk about, yet. It's there, and it will be discussed sooner or later.
Okay, then, we'll adjourn the meeting till Wednesday, June 4th. Thank you for coming, everybody, and then everybody get a chance to do their evolutions, and we'll,